If you don't see the point in starting to change something in your life, then continue to live your everyday life, sitting on your chair and waiting for a miracle. Forget about laziness forever. Start developing and stop doing all the nonsense that consumes all your resources. Sooner or later, a person is visited by thoughts that his life is beginning to turn into a routine. He begins to be haunted by a sense of meaninglessness and a feeling that life is gradually losing its meaning. All this make us think about our lives, pull ourselves together and start changing something. But there is only one problem. As soon as we plan to start changing something, we immediately fall into a stupor. We have no idea what to cling to in the first place, what to do next, and in which direction to move. If from the very beginning to do something wrong, you will lose your time, and it's okay if you come to your senses in a day. And if a month, half month, a year passes, it will be at least shame that so much time has been wasted. So the main thing that you need to determine for yourself is how do I usually start? And now, I'm not going to tell you about that. You need to read these 10 books. Get rid of these 3 habits. Write yourself 5 main goals and start practicing positive thinking. Everyone has known of these topics for a long time. It would be much better to learn about those things that few people mention, but which are not less important at the start of your self-development. And so, where do you need to start? First and most important, stop wasting your time. Each of us has a lot of people in our lives who waste our main resource, time. We are so used to these things that we already consider them ordinary and simply don't pay attention to them, but they are one of the main obstacles to self-improvement. These things don't make any sense, but the desire to devote time to them can negate all your efforts, and such desires have specific reasons. For example, you have no motivation to do important things for you, or it may be stemming your weaknesses and habits, or maybe it's self-pity or ordinary laziness. In order to overcome all this, you don't need to read dozens of books on personal effectiveness. It's enough just to take more responsibility. Think for yourself. That it's better to take the phone, download some useless game and spend half of your day on it, or take phone, download an application for brain development and go through several workouts. Sitting on the couch, complaining that you are not getting anything and making up for all your failures, or sitting on the couch, decide to make another attempt to get up from this and start trying further, constantly telling yourself that you don't want, that you can't, then continue to live everyday life, or constantly telling yourself that you can and you continue to act until you get the desired result. Everything is as simple as possible. You want to develop if you really need it. If you don't see the point in order to start changing something in your life, then continue to live your everyday life, sitting in your chair and waiting for the miracle. The winners will always be those people who don't feel sorry for themselves and don't blame others for their failures. Forever forget about laziness and stop wasting your time. Start developing and get rid of all sorts of nonsense that just consumes all your resources. The second thing you need to start doing is to develop your thinking. The root of all problems is in your head. Thoughts affect on actions, and actions affect on the result. So you can make a simple conclusion. Success in any area is directly related to your thinking. But what do you need to do to develop thinking? Of course, you can read a lot of books with tips on developing thinking, but there is a possibility that after reading them, like other books, they will just gather dust on the shelf and all information received from them will be forgotten in a couple of days. So, for real practice, start training your brain. Now, you can easily find a lot of exercise for your brain development. For the development of critical, analytical, and creative thinking, and bunch of other things. Also, you need to seriously think about what you want to get out of life in general. And the third thing you have to do is starting acting. You can read a whole library of books, view a bunch of seminars, and read a lot of articles with a ton of information in your head, but it will not bring any benefit, any knowledge, even the most useful. It's just simple information. Much more important is how you will use this information in life. For example, there are two people. The first spent a whole year studying information about how to build a business. He shares this information with all his friends, tells them step-by-step plan for creating a multi-million-dollar business, tells all the basics, rules and pitfalls, but at the same time he doesn't undertake any concrete actions. What we get in the end? He didn't achieve anything and remained in the same place as a year ago. The second person doesn't know half of what the first one knows, but instead of sharing his knowledge, he just takes and does it based on the information that he owns. By trial and error, he relieves for himself the most correct path that leads him to the results. What we get in the end here? Every time he reaches greater and greater heights, rejoices in his achievements and constantly expands the boundaries. It would seem in this situation previous in favor of the first person, since he knows much more, but he knows more. But in addition to empty conversations, he does nothing. And that is what will always distinguish the winner from loser, the ability to act in any situations and under any conditions. And you should do the same as you have outlined some kind of action plan. Immediately proceed to its implementation in this world. All the necessary opportunities have already been created for you. You just need to learn how to recognize them and apply them in your life. Even at the beginning it will be any minor actions, but even a slow moving person will reach the goal and millions of observers will remain watching.